There is a silent force that cannot be seen, but can be felt deeply. It's like an inner armor that begins to form when one stops seeking external guarantees and starts trusting, truly trusting, in something deeper. This force is not born from logic, nor physical effort, nor even rational intelligence. It emerges from another place. It comes from an inner decision that completely changes how life is perceived. When a person inhabits that state of absolute confidence, something in their mind transforms. They stop living reactively and begin living from conviction. Psalm 91 is not just a prayer. It's a guide, a mental structure, a vibrational frequency that, when understood and applied, can shift the way we face life. It's not magic, but it is a map leading to an inner place where faith isn't theoretical, but an active energy. Napoleon Hill spoke of this exact dynamic when he studied how the most successful, resilient minds in the world operate. He discovered that they all had something in common: deep trust, the ability to maintain faith even as their world crumbled. Those who dwell in the shelter of the Most High are not merely repeating words. They are individuals who have trained their minds to remain centered, steadfast, and connected to an inner certainty that doesn't depend on external circumstances. Hill calls this mastering the subconscious mind, using autosuggestion and faith. In practice, this means that once the mind becomes accustomed to trusting, it begins to function differently. It begins to attract wiser decisions, aligned people, and clearer opportunities, because the mind no longer resonates with fear. It vibrates with conviction. So when the Psalm says, "You will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust," it's not speaking of a beautiful phrase, it's an anchor for the mind. Through repetition, it shapes the subconscious until the thought becomes an internal reality. Hill explained that every thought repeated with sufficient emotion becomes a belief, and every enduring belief produces a result. That's how powerful the human mind is. Declaring that an invisible fortress surrounds you isn't merely a spiritual metaphor. It's a mental strategy. It's consciously deciding which thoughts occupy your mind. The world can be chaotic, but you can choose to remain in peace. You can choose not to be swept up by collective anxiety. You can choose to inhabit a different frequency. When it says, 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you, it doesn't promise a life without problems. It reveals a principle of emotional immunity. A mind aligned with certainty is less vulnerable to paralyzing fear, toxic negativity, and draining emotions. Hill observed that great leaders, those who truly changed their surroundings, were individuals with protected mental systems. They walked through storms without soaking in them, not by denying their reality, but by being so anchored in purpose that the environment couldn't control them. And that is vital to understand. It isn't about denying reality, it's deciding at what level of consciousness you will respond to it. Psalm 91 is a series of declarations that can reprogram your mind, but only if you make them yours, only if you feel them. Because faith is not a word, it's a potent emotion that impacts your body, energy, and decision. When you intentionally repeat that nothing evil will come near you, that no plague will touch your dwelling, you send a direct message to your subconscious. I am safe, I am protected, I stand firm. Your body responds, your mind quiets, your intuition sharpens. This kind of protection extends far beyond the physical. It's protection against paralyzing fear, toxic negativity, and the inner voice that says, you can't. Hill insisted that if you want to change your life, you must change your inner dialogue. You must nurture thoughts that raise your frequency. To do that, you need practical tools, affirmations, visualization, a defined purpose, removal of toxicity, and connection with something greater than yourself. Call it God, the universe, infinite intelligence. That connection is essential. When the Psalm says God will command His angels to guard your ways, it's not poetic imagery. It's energy-based truth. It's the guidance, intuition, and synchronicities that appear when you're aligned. Hill referred to this as the sixth sense, the ability to know without knowing how you know. That inner voice only activates in a mind that's calm, aligned, and trained to listen. A noisy mind doesn't hear truth, it just reacts. A trained, focused, attentive mind can walk through chaos without losing direction. That's why practice matters. Understanding alone isn't enough. You must repeat, you must feel, you must integrate. Hill said faith is an active emotion, not a passive state. It requires discipline. It requires repetition. It requires commitment. If you don't master your thoughts, they will master you. Or worse, others' thoughts will control you. And that is exactly what we avoid here. Every time you declare a truth with emotion, you rewrite your identity. You elevate your frequency. You build an invisible mental fortress that shields you even when you're unaware of it. Psalm 91 isn't merely spiritual poetry. It's advanced mental technology. It's an emotional reprogramming system, functional when practiced with intention. When the psalm promises you'll see the reward of the wicked, it's not encouraging vengeance. It's affirming that justice and order exist. You don't have to carry judgment, just maintain aligned energy. When you do, that energy repels what's not yours and attracts what is. That's vibrational law in action. Now reflect on what's nourishing your mind. Fear or faith, doubt or purpose, noise or truth. Because the mind mirrors what it receives. Fill it with darkness and you'll perceive darkness. Feed it powerful words, and light begins to guide your every choice. That's the difference. Not luck, it's training. Not chance, it's awareness. Everything starts with a daily decision: what to think, what to declare, what to repeat, what to allow. That decision shapes your frequency. Your frequency shapes your experience. The human mind is fertile ground. What you plant in it, sooner or later, blossoms. But if you don't cultivate it intentionally, your environment may deceive what grows within. That's why Psalm 91 and Napoleon Hill's mental principles are much more than powerful texts. They are seeds. Seeds of protection, purpose, clarity. And if you choose to water them daily with emotion and conviction, your mind becomes a fortified garden capable of withstanding storms without losing its essence. Hill said, "Where doubt exists, hesitation follows. Where hesitation exists, failure finds a way in." It isn't about eliminating fear entirely. It's about not feeding it. That's why the psalm declares, "Because you have made the Lord your dwelling place," words that convey a conscious decision to live mentally at a higher level. That doesn't happen by accident. It's a choice. Every thought casts energy and vibration. And when you understand that, you begin to guard your mind. You realize your thoughts don't just shape your character, they shape your destiny. Hill was clear: an emotionally charged thought is creative. If that emotion is faith, you are shaping a more aligned reality. Psalm 91 doesn't consist of random phrases. Each verse is an affirmation packed with the most transformative emotion, faith. When that faith is felt rather than read, the energetic field surrounding your life begins to shift. It's invisible, but real. A vibrational shield begins to form around you. It's not about ignoring risks. It's about moving through them with sustained energy. This is what it means to live without fear of the terror that stalks at night, or the arrow that flies by day. A metaphor for emotional mastery. Hill spoke of the 6 fundamental fears: poverty, criticism, illness, loss of love, aging, and death. The psalm teaches that it's possible to live beyond these fears, not because they vanish, but because you stop obeying them. Your mind becomes aligned with a trust that transcends the temporary. That mindset doesn't arise spontaneously. It requires training. It requires feeding your mind with elevated ideas. A mind left empty or distracted becomes fertile ground for anxiety. And in today's world, people are bombarded with anxiety-inducing content, alarming news, destructive comparisons, empty criticism. That all becomes mental fodder. Without an intentional filter, you end up absorbing what the world offers. That's why Hill emphasized, you become what you think about most of the time, and your dominant thoughts come from what you consume, repeat, and affirm. Psalm 91, recited with emotion and precision, is a tool for deep programming. Every phrase is a key to an inner sanctuary where calm can enter. It's more than a prayer, it's reprogramming. It's mental training to elevate your vibration above fear, No evil shall befall you, neither shall any plague come near your dwelling. When that becomes conviction, it changes how you respond to challenge. It's not magic, it's mindset, it's a mental structure, it's confidence cultivated. And when that structure grows stronger, your environment begins to change. Not because the world shifts, but because your energy doesn't break easily. That's when intuition emerges. Hill's sixth sense. That inner whisper tells you what to do, what to avoid, when to move, and when to wait. That guidance only emerges from a calm, aligned, trained mind. A noisy mind can't hear truth, it only reacts. A trained mind, however, can walk through chaos without losing direction. That's why practice is crucial. Understanding alone doesn't suffice. You must repeat, you must feel, you must integrate. Hill taught that faith is an active emotion. It demands discipline. If you fail to master your thoughts, they will master you, or worse, other people's thoughts will steal you. That's exactly what we're avoiding. Every emotionally uttered truth reshapes your identity, elevates your frequency, builds that unseen mental shields that protects even when you're not aware. Psalm 91 isn't just spiritual text, it's mental technology, an emotional reprogramming system that works when applied intentionally. When the psalm speaks of seeing the reward of the wicked, it doesn't condone a revenge, it affirms the presence of universal justice. You don't carry judgment, just hold aligned energy, and that energy repels what's not yours and draws in what is. That's vibrational law. So examine what's feeding your mind. Fear or faith, doubt or purpose, noise or truth. Your mind reflects what's in it. Fill it with darkness and you see darkness everywhere. Nourish it with powerful words and light begins to guide your life. This is the difference, not luck. It's training, not coincidence. It's consciousness. Everything starts with a daily choice. What to think, what to state, what to affirm, what to allow. That choice creates your frequency. Your frequency shapes your experience. Living under protection doesn't mean living without challenges. It means facing them with a steady mind, awake awareness, and a heart that doesn't shatter under life's blows. It means maintaining such a centered energy that even when your surroundings fall into disarray, your inner clarity endures. Hill referred to this as calm under pressure, a non-negotiable trait among those who transform their lives and environments. It's not about avoiding storms, it's about confronting them from a higher inner state. Psalm 91 offers that preparation, that training. Each verse is an intentional brick in a mental structure designed for indestructibility. That structure isn't built from intellect, it's erected through practice. Reciting affirmations with intent isn't superstitious, it's deliberate programming. Every word spoken with emotion becomes a brick in your mental fortress. Once built, no circumstance can topple it. Hill asserted that individuals see the world through lenses formed by their dominant thoughts. If those thoughts are tinted with fear, then everything seems threatening. If they're shaped by confidence, everything becomes opportunity. Psalm 91 clears those lenses. It shifts your focus. What once paralyzed you now propels you. What seemed like an end now marks a new beginning. That transformation is silent, but powerful within an aligned mind. That transformation isn't instant, it's cumulative. It results from small daily choices. Powerful affirmations like "my mind is protected by faith" aren't empty words, they're commands, anchors, constant reminders of who you are and where you choose to stand. Repeating them emotionally reshapes your mind, alters your internal narrative, affects your words, reactions, decisions. Hill spoke of autosuggestion, of how a disciplined mind can shape a person's destiny, and Psalm 91 is one of the most powerful tools to apply that autosuggestion. Each line holds a truth that, when claimed, liberates, guides, strengthens, causing something curious to happen. Things begin aligning. The right people arrive. Opportunities unfold. Life starts moving in your favor, not because the world shifted, but because you, within, shifted. That is real magic, not external, but internal. And it happens when you train your mind to operate on a higher frequency. A frequency where fear no longer rules, anxiety no longer dictates, Doubt no longer crosses your path. That frequency is within reach, but it demands intention, choice, and consistent practice. You shall tread upon the lion and cobra. That imagery carries power. The lion symbolizes fear's sudden surge. The cobra invokes the subtle poison of doubt, creeping unnoticed. Both threats exist, but both can be overcome with a fortified mind, cultivated, awake. Hill warned of these mental dangers, obvious fear and silent doubt, and taught that only a mind rooted in purpose larger than self-regard can conquer them. Ultimate purpose acts as shield. It reminds you why you act. It upholds you when everything threatens collapse. If that purpose aligns with values such as faith, gratitude, love, and truth, it not only supports, it elevates. Hill said a mind with purpose doesn't get distracted by storms. It stays focused. That focus is part of the shield. The true shelter of the Most High isn't physical. It's a mindset, a vibrational field of peace, direction, clarity, an inner realm you can return to, regardless of external chaos. That's the promise, the invitation, not to a worry-free life, but a life endowed with inner power, one led by an unseen force that comforts the unseen. And when you choose to leave from that place, you change. Your presence shifts, your energy stabilizes, your direction becomes clearer. Decisions come from a grounded center, not impulsive reaction. Fear decreases, intuition sharpens, inner guidance becomes unmistakable. There, in that clarity, appears the true miracle. Your external world transforms from the inside out. For because He has set His love upon me, the Psalm says. This is no empty promise. It's deep spiritual principle, protection, clarity, vibrancy. It's not random reward. It's a natural outcome of a mind aligned with truth. Hill called it cooperation with infinite intelligence, a conscious collaboration between your will and a higher force. That cooperation doesn't flourish in chaos. It blooms in calm, trust, surrender. And that's when everything starts cooperating. Not because you control it, but because you've released what you can't and focused on what matters. Because you trust, and trust is the key. Faith is not absence of fear, it's presence of certainty. And that certainty is cultivated. It doesn't arise on its own. It emerges from saying, repeating, breathing, returning to the silence within that orders all things. That center reminds, you're not alone. You're not lost. You're not weak. Something in you is deeper than any emotion, stronger than logic, despite the darkness, guiding, upholding. And that something you embed when you trust. You step into alignment when you act in faith. You train your mind to resist noise and return again and again to the silence that anchors. So if you've reached this point, it's not coincidence. This message mirrors something stirring within you, a stronger, wiser, more focused version of yourself ready to take charge, not from fear, but from intention. But to let that version lead, you must commit, not to a concept, but to you, to your mind, to your energy, to your evolution. Hill often said, you become what you listen to. That's why the content you consume, what you repeat, what you embrace, shapes your destiny. Repeating Psalm 91 daily is training. It's a reminder, it's a choice. If done with intention, felt with emotion, practiced with discipline, that invisible shield becomes tangible, and it starts manifesting in your being, body, relationships, choices, life. A protected mind is not isolated. It's connected, awakened, aligned with elevated principles. A mind that transforms, inspires, resilient. And that mind resides within you. If this message resonated with you, if at any moment you felt something awaken within, don't dismiss it. That inner impulse is more than fleeting emotion. It's your intuition guiding you toward a different way of living. Not from reaction, but from awareness. Not from fear, but from certainty. And to keep that frequency alive, you must stay exposed to elevated ideas. So I invite you to do more than just watch this video. Take a concrete step. Subscribe now. Not as a casual click, but as a commitment to yourself. A silent declaration. How is them ready to train my mind, guard my energy, and evolve from within? Every new video here isn't just content. It's a tool, a guide. Another step on building that mental fortress that transforms. Join a community of awakened minds, focused, aligned with something greater. You're not alone in this journey, and the more you feed your mind with transformative messages, the stronger your shield, the clearer your vision, the deeper your purpose. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share it. If something within says this matters, then act, because that small step reinforces your internal choice. Remember, every profound transformation starts with a conscious small step. This could be yours. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing evolution. And always remember, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High walks with certainty, sees this with clarity, and lives in a frequency where faith becomes lived reality.